Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. I'm recording on two different devices, so if my eyes are moving up and down, that's why. Everyone's been complaining about how shit my camera quality is, so we're testing out a new camera and I don't know if I've set it up right or, if it's gonna work. I tried to do a test and the voice didn't record, so I'm recording on my laptop as well just in case it doesn't work. So you're gonna have to bear with me if I'm looking up and down. But today I want to talk about the victim mentality, and before I do, I want to just say that everything I'm about to share, it comes from a place of genuine love. I want the best for you, I truly do, and I'm sharing this because I've been there too, in the victim mentality, but not every example I mention today will be directly from my own life, but everything I speak about, it comes from a lived experience, from me shifting out of my victim mindset into self-empowerment. And when I say victim, I know there's like this heavy and blameful connotation, but this video isn't about blame at all. It's about helping you shift, helping you take accountability, helping you take your power back, and ultimately living the life that you deserve to live. But on that note, I'm not here to make you feel comfortable or to coddle you. My intention is to wake you up, and I will be giving you tough love, so I want to just share that because I want to help you see where change is needed so you can create the life you deserve. And again, I care deeply about you, about your potential, so please remember that as I do share tough love with you today. But here's the truth. Nobody is coming to save you. It's your responsibility to save you. And again, I say that not to blame you, but to help you shift, help you take your power back, help you see how powerful you actually are. Because even if things are shit right now, you can change your reality because you're the creator of your own life. And there is an element where we are co-creating with our soul, we are co-creating with God, with the universe. So, a lot of people kind of get tripped up there. But in order for us to co-create, we have to take care of our side of the deal. We have to learn to meet our soul halfway, meet the universe halfway, and we can't do that from a victim mindset. So I want to start by expanding a bit on how you actually create your own life and how you view life through your own perceptions, again, to show you that all of this can be changed. So the people in your life, even the ones that are closest to you, they actually exist through your perception of them. So let's say, for example, my best friend. The way I know her is based entirely on who she is in my reality. So my experiences with her, the energy that I bring into the relationships that cause the dynamics too, the lens that I'm viewing her through, all of that shapes the version of her that exists in my world. But if you were to ask someone else who also knows her, their version would probably sound completely different. And if my best friend is watching this, she'll know that is very true. And why does that happen? Because in their reality, this other person who's perceiving her, they're perceiving her through their own lens, so through their beliefs, their expectations, their energetic filters. So that means that there isn't one single true version of any person. There are infinite versions of everyone, including ourselves, and it's all being reflected back through the consciousness of each person who encounters them. So we're all walking mirrors, constantly projecting and perceiving at the same time. And this is why working on yourself and why self-awareness is so powerful, because when you change the way that you see yourself, the entire world around you, it rearranges itself to match that new inner truth. People will respond differently, opportunities will open up, and even old dynamics will either dissolve or upgrade. And it's not about controlling others, it's about realizing how deeply perception and creation are very interconnected. And everyone in your reality is showing you something about your relationship with you. But we spend so much time either, imagining the future or replaying the past, but neither of those things actually exist. Only the present moment truly exists. And when we bring ourselves fully into the present moment, we realize how much of life we live in a state of imagination. And that means we're constantly creating. So this is your reminder that you're not a victim, you are the creator of your own life. So just say right now, if you decided, I never want to watch Sim again, I never want to see this woman on my page, I just never want to see her content ever again, you don't have to. You can decide to never watch my content again And the reason I say that is because I then won't exist in your reality. You can literally choose to never engage. Same way if you choose to walk away from something or walk away from someone and completely remove your energy, that thing, that person, that situation, it doesn't exist in your reality anymore. And don't get that confused with avoidance. You know, we don't want to look at things that people have done and people have said and just avoid it. If something is triggering to us or if something is showing us something about ourselves, we want to learn from it and we want to shift if you feel called to. But the person themselves or the thing itself, it doesn't exist in your reality anymore, and you can then create a different reality with different people in it. So to shift out of the victim mindset, I first want you to reflect on, how do you want to create your reality? You know, how do you want it to look? Who do you want to allow into your reality? How do you want to feel? How do you want to show up? The first step is really getting clear on what you do want and how you want to feel in your reality. Because when we don't have any direction, it's so easy for the victim mindset to just, you know, swallow us whole. Okay, so why am I even saying any of this? You might be thinking, what has this got to do with the victim mentality? Just tell me how to change it. But again, I wanted to lay the foundation to empower you, to show you that you've got a choice. Often when we're drowning in a victim mentality, we feel like life is just happening to us and that we've got no say, and we've got no power, and we've got no control. But I want to show you that you can take control back over your own life and your own reality. But shifting out of the victim mindset, I'll be honest, it takes balls. And that's because it's one of the most comfortable places to live. Being in a victim mindset, it can feel safe in a really fucked up way, because when you're in that space, you don't have to take responsibility. You don't have to risk being wrong. You don't have to step into the unknown. You can just sit in what's familiar and feel sorry for yourself. And sometimes that's all we know. And that familiarity, it actually becomes addictive. You know, your life just starts looping. It's like Groundhog Day. The same situations, the same feelings, the same patterns, the same outcomes. You keep recycling the same experiences because they feel so familiar. And when your reality becomes predictable, even if it's not what you desire, it feels safe. You know how it's going to feel. You know the outcome, even though it hurts. And even if it hurts and even if it's shit, it's still comfortable, because comfort doesn't challenge you to grow. And that's why we get so addicted to the victim mindset too. So let's say, for example, you're in a relationship with someone who's just not good for you. You know deep down that they're not treating you right. You know it's not what you actually desire, but at least you know what to expect. It's that kind of better the devil you know kind of mindset. But here's the truth, that belief, it keeps you trapped. A lot of people don't leave situations not because they love the pain, not because it's what they actually desire, but because they're shit scared of the unknown. They're afraid to take the leap. They're afraid to trust that something better could exist beyond what they've normalized. Because as well, the victim mentality plays on our worthiness. So a lot of people think, well, I can't have something better because I'm not worthy. I can't have something better because that's never happened for me. But that itself, that decision, it keeps the victim mentality going, and then that's what your reality is going to reflect. People also get comfortable blaming others. You know, blaming society, blaming their parents, blaming their ex, blaming their past, anything outside of themselves. And again, I'm not minimizing anyone's experience or pain. Yes, these experiences can be very real, and sometimes it can feel out of your control, but I want to give you the permission to take your power and your control back over your own life. Because as long as you're blaming something outside of you, you don't have to face the discomfort of looking inward. But here's the truth, and again, this is said with love, not with blame. Your life looks the way it does because of the choices you've made, because of the energy you're giving out, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And I say that with love, not blame, because when you realize that, you also realize that you have the power to change it. And again, I'm not dismissing your pain and pretending that unfair things haven't happened, because I know for so many they have. Life, for me personally, has handed me my own share of bullshit, of painful experiences, things that easily could have kept me stuck forever. But I made a decision. You know, I refused to stay there. I refused to let my pain become my identity. And even in situations where I couldn't change the external, you know, whether it was a person in my life or a job or whatever it was, I changed how I looked at the situation and looked at the things around me, and then the external started to change because my energy changed. Because the moment you decide to stop identifying as a victim, everything shifts. You start to reclaim your power. You begin to see that while you can't always control what happens to you, you can control how you respond. You can choose who you become because of it. And yes, we want to work through the shit that these things have created and the shit that is causing the victim mentality, but we don't want to make an identity out of it or build our whole personality around it. And that's the difference between surviving and actually living. I remember for me personally, there's been many times throughout my life where I've just been sat in my room crying about how unfair life felt, wondering why so much shit has happened to me, wondering why I just couldn't catch a break, why life just wasn't going how I wanted it to. And I was just pissed off at life because I knew I was a good person and everything just felt unfair. And I just remember feeling completely unseen, completely unheard, and you just feel like no one gives a shit. And let's be real, when we're in that victim mentality, we just want someone to come in and save us. We just want to know that people care, because like I said, the victim mentality, it plays on our unworthiness and all of those other things. But do you think anyone came to save me? Nope, no one did. And honestly, I'm grateful that they didn't, because if someone had swooped in and rescued me, I never would have discovered how powerful I actually am. I never would have been able to see how limitless life could be for me, and I'd never learn how to truly free myself. Because as well, if someone comes in to save us, they're just showing us our own limits. They're going to project onto us their limitations, and then we kind of adjust to that. Whereas your soul wants you to see how limitless life can actually be, which is why no one is coming to save you. So no one came to save me, but do you know when people started to care and when people started to come in? When I stopped wanting to be saved, when I started doing the inner work, when I started choosing myself, when I got out of the loop and I began to rebuild my life from the inside out and my energy changed. And look at anyone who you admire, whether it's someone that you actually know or someone that you don't know who just inspires you. Nobody cared about their story when they were deep in their pain. People were drawn to them after they overcame their pain, after they transformed their suffering into wisdom and power. That's when they became an inspiration, not because they were rescued, but because they saved themselves. And that's the truth that I need you to hear. Your life is only going to change when you change. And if you stay stuck in the victim mindset, people might feel sorry for you for a little while, but sympathy fades. You know, life keeps moving. People go on living their own stories, and all that's going to happen is that you'll be left behind in the same loop unless you decide to shift it. You have to become your own main character in your own story and stop looking for someone to save you. Stop looking for somebody to validate that you're worthy, validate that, you know, you're deserving of things. You have to learn to do that for you, because no one's coming to save you because they can't. The only person who can truly save you is you, because nobody can make you heal, nobody can fix you, nobody can force you to change, nobody can change your energy for you. And that's not meant to sound harsh, that's meant to show you that you're very capable and everything you're desiring, it's already within you. It's just learning how to shift. And you really do have a choice. You have the ability to create something new. You don't have to keep reliving the same version of your life and of yourself. But let's be real. Growth and change. It's not easy because it's not linear. People think that change and growth is just a straight line. You know, you shift this and you get here, then you expand more and you're here, then you expand more and you're living your best life. But really, I would say to people that you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because you can shift something, you can heal from something, and then life's going to test you with a familiar situation to see if you've actually embodied that shift. And sometimes that can feel a bit rocky because, you know, we haven't got our footing in this new vibration. And that isn't failure, that's expansion. But sometimes expansion can feel like we're going backwards in the moment, but we aren't. Every time you evolve, you're entering new territory. So your mind and your nervous system are adjusting to a higher frequency, one that used to feel unsafe because it was unfamiliar. And that's why so many people go back to their old patterns, not because they're weak, not because they're a failure, not because they've fucked up, but because the old version of life feels safe and familiar. But please don't give up just because it feels uncomfortable. You know, that discomfort is the evidence that you're growing. You're reprogramming yourself, you're stepping out of survival and into creation. And I'm gonna split this video and do a part 2 because my camera is saying it's gonna die, so I'm gonna split this into 2. But in the next one, I'm gonna give you tips and guidance on how to break out of the victim mentality. So I'll see you over there.